Right, this video is about Gigi Buffon, the legendary Italian Juventus and Parma ex-Parma goalkeeper, deciding that this season is going to be his last. He's going to retire. Obviously, Italy aren't guaranteed for the World Cup, and if he is selected, that'll probably be his swan song. I think they might take him. He's still got a lot to give to the Italian side if they decide to take him on to the World Cup. If they do get through the playoffs next month, but he said this is his last season. He's retiring after this. He's hanging up his gloves. And you look at his career going back to his days at Parma, and then being taken from Parma to Juventus, big money move then, and his many years at Juventus and then the many trophies he's won. And you've obviously got to take into account there was the match fixing scandal back in 2006. You have to take that into account and have to look at that and go, right, you know, how serious is this? And he was part of a squad that was involved in a match fixing scandal that infected the whole Italian league system, and it's still rumbling on now. There's still rumours going around about various clubs and things, and that does sort of put one black mark against his club and his name. But you look at his career and look how many games he's played and how many caps he's received by his national side, and he's won a World Cup and he's Champions Leagues, and he's won the Serie A title multiple times. You don't do that unless you're a really good player. Regardless of the scandal that has occurred in Italian football. And this is a symptom of the whole Italian league. This is not just Juventus. They weren't the only team caught out. There were many other teams caught out as well. And when they got thrown out of Serie A, he stuck with the club. He said he would stay with the club and he would get them back to being at the top. So he's loyal as well, and he's a good leader on the pitch, and obviously in the dressing room. He's a positive influence. And he's had a very glittering career. And Italy is known for making very, very good goalkeepers. No doubt of that. Italy is renowned for producing great goalkeeping. World-class goalkeepers. Renowned for it. And he's had to compete with some very good goalkeepers for the Italian #1 jersey in his time, in his generation. You go Toldo, De Sanctis, Sirigu, to name some that have also worn the Azzurri blue. And he's had to compete with some of these goalies to get in the Italian side, and he's just the best of a very, very good bunch. And you look at them and you go, wow, they've won titles and they've all competed at the highest level. Cudicini was another great Italian goalkeeper who Chelsea fans remember fondly. So he's had to compete with some very, very, very good goalkeepers for his position in the Italian side, and there's a lot of good Italian goalkeepers. And that's one of the reasons why Italy have been so successful in international football. They've got a very good #1 and some very good #2s as well. There's some very good younger goalkeepers coming through. So they have a good... They clearly really have some good goalkeepers there and some good depth in that position. So when he does retire, there's going to be some very, very, very good players coming through to take on the mantle of Italy's #1 and Juventus #1. There's going to be some very, very good goalkeepers. And he's one of the reasons why that is so, because he played at such a high level, and he has in the last few years had a few injuries as well, and he's played on with a dicky shoulder and a dicky knee, and he's really, really shown that even towards the end of the career he can still put out world-class performances. And you compare him with Joe Hart, and let's compare him to our supposed #1, who I don't think should be #1 in the England goal, looking at recent form. I'm saying that. And bear in mind they have played in the same league together, at City rivals. So he played for Torino and Buffon's at Juventus. So you've got to look at and compare what we have to what the Italians have. And look at his stats. Consistently, he's had good year after good year after good year. I mean, Juventus aren't top of Serie A at the moment, and other teams are forging ahead there a little bit. But you look at the stats he puts up. I mean, Inter are now top, followed by Napoli. So they've also got, good sides. So it's not all Juventus dominating Serie A at the moment. And Juventus aren't quite the team they were when Conte was in charge and when other managers have been in charge. They're not the Juventus of the Zidane era in the early 90s. Obviously, football changes. And bear in mind, Juventus have had the old lady in Turin has had some brilliant players, world class, household names, legends. And he comes from the school of Dino Zoff, another Italian goalkeeper of legendary World Cup fame, who played to a similar age. So he's from a long line of great goalkeepers. And you look at Joe Hart at the moment, and he has a lot to learn from Buffon. He really does. Joe Hart's form is all over the place. You look at the Brighton game and how he was at fault for some of the goals. He really was just... And you look at his save percentage. It's the lowest out of all the England qualified goalkeepers in the Premier League. All the goalkeepers that could play for England at the World Cup next year are eligible in the Premier League. And I'm looking at the Championship as well, because sometimes could get promoted with English goalkeepers, and they could then go forth into Premier League football. You look at the English qualified goalkeepers, and you look at Joe Hart's save percentage. It is consistently getting worse. His stats are nowhere near as good, and people are saying Joe Hart should be on that plane to Russia next summer. I think he shouldn't. Oh, but he should go for the leadership quality. Well, if you are playing badly, right, and you've got young defenders in front, or a new back four, or a new back five, back three, however Southgate wants to set up, and I have been critical of the way England have performed. Even though they've won the games, they have performed below par, and they're not really engaging the fans in Wembley or engaging the fans abroad. And I watched the last couple of games, and one of them I was just like, this is actually pretty dull, where we're not going at them at pace, we're just walking the ball around. And when you have that slow play, and then you lose the ball and they're charging out, you're going to be under pressure, a lot of pressure. And people like Jack, I mean, Stoke aren't playing well at the moment, but Jack Buckley is making a lot of saves for Stoke, and he's getting a good workout, and his actual save percentage is actually higher than Joe Hart's, regardless of how his team are performing. That's another thing. You look at Heaton. Yes, he's injured at the moment. He's out. You look at Foster and Forster. They're both doing reasonably well at Hampton and West Brom. And Foster was Ben Foster was like, I'm not playing for England again whilst Hodgson's in charge. Hodgson is now gone. He's put his hand up saying, I'm still available now. He felt that the England setup wasn't fair to him, and he wasn't given a fair shout at competing for that number 1 jersey. And he wasn't, really. And Joe Hart's been in there a while now, and he has come up short at the tournaments. And he's not the player he was when he was brought back to Man City after going out on loan at lower league clubs and gaining some first team experience. And when he was a bit younger, he really shot onto the scene, and he was actually a damn good goalkeeper, and was probably the world's best goalkeeper for a season. So since 2011, where I think he was, to now, in the 6 years that have passed, he has slipped back a bit. He still produces world-class saves, and in moments in games, especially for England, he does occasionally pull off some very world-class saves. But there are other goalkeepers in the English league that are better than him. And you look at Buffon, and there are some damn good Italian goalkeepers, and he keeps them out the Italian side. Or in previous years, he kept them out the Italian side, unless he was injured, where he broke his hand before U2000, Toldo goes in, and Toldo had a magnificent tournament and was outstanding. So you compare Buffon to Joe Hart. Buffon's still better. He's a legend. He will go down as a legend, and regardless of the match fixing scandal and how you view that, and how people will view that, and that will be a black mark against his name because he was involved in a team that was involved in a match fixing scandal, and that is a black mark against his name. And you have to take that into consideration when you look at, is he, possibly the world's greatest ever goalkeeper. You have to take that into consideration. That is the one black mark against Buffon's name, is the match fixing scandal. But irrelevant when it comes to performance on the pitch, and leading, being a leader for your country and a leader for your club, and getting your hands on silver, Buffon is by far a better goalkeeper. Joe Hart seems to either he needs to have a manager have faith in him. Now, Pep didn't, because Pep plays a certain way. His goalkeepers have to play like sweepers, and I think that is insanity at times. If a goalkeeper is good enough to sweep, fine, but not every goalkeeper is a Manuel Neuer, as we found out. And Manuel Neuer has had a bit of an iffy season. Manuel Neuer is prone to making calamitous errors when he does his sweeping as well. He has his moments of Rene Higuita where he charges out and he does get it wrong. But again, is Joe Hart compared to Manuel Neuer? No, he's not close. At the moment. That's not to say Manuel Neuer will keep going at this level, because he may get an injury, especially when goalkeepers get a lot of shoulder and knee injuries, and that then could be quite serious. But look at the German depth they have with Ter Stegen in there, among other goalkeepers they've got. They've got a lot of experienced and young goalkeepers as well in the German Bundesliga who are playing really, really well. So yeah, Buffon, great career. He's been playing for 20 plus years at the highest level. He was brilliant at Parma back in the late 90s. He's gone to Juventus and carried on, and he's been loyal to the old lady of Turin. And last season, Joe Hart was actually pitched against in the same league as Buffon and came very, very short. And Torino were like, "What have we got on loan here, Man City? You can have him back. You can have him back." So when one of the biggest clubs in Italy go, "Yeah, no, you're not good enough," and Torino were once the bigger club in Turin. They really were, and they are still a big club by Italian standards, and they have also had some brilliant goalkeepers and players. And when a top level side go, "You're not good enough, we're not going to sign you full time, you can go back to your parent club," that does say something about where Joe Hart actually is and why he keeps going out on loan. It says something. Is he the right fit for West Ham? Probably not. He is not performing. This is my opinion. This is me watching the mistakes he constantly makes. And he either needs to find a manager who can really, and a good goalkeeping coach who can really get hands on with him and go, "Right, this is what's going wrong with your game. We have assessed, looking at video footage of mistakes you're making and saves you could make that you haven't made, or even if the ball does go in, you could try harder, or you could get your positioning slightly better." Someone has to really assess his performances over not just last season and the season before, his full season at Man City and his full season at Torino. They need to look at significant successive seasons, because he hasn't really had any injuries. He's been pretty fully fit for most of his career. He's not really had any long-term injuries. So they've got to look at, his form. And there are various things that could be adjusted. Slight positioning changes maybe. Different training regime. A fresh voice giving him coaching. Having another backup or another goalkeeper challenging him for a number one spot. And if they are deemed to be better, then he's got to work harder. His work ethic. Probably focus less on his promotional work for the Head and Shoulders and stuff, and actually focus more on actually his job. Because you look at players like Buffon, who are legends, and the difference. He's been consistently good for 20 years. And he has had some blips and some games where, like, "Oh dear, okay." And you've got to get that as a goalkeeper. You're not going to have a perfect game every single time. You're not going to have clean sheet after clean sheet. You will have the occasional game where you do, doesn't all go well. And, you could do better. It's how you respond to your bad games. And that goes across all players on all sports. You will have a bad game where you go, "I could have done better." And it's how you react by the next game and the next game and your next training session. And in the off-season, keeping fit. And there are ways to get and stay at that level, which Buffon clearly has stayed at that level for many, many years. He's just decided the time is right. This is my last full season. If he goes to the World Cup and finishes at the World Cup and that is his last game, he has had a brilliant career, glittering career. And if Italy do really, really well at the World Cup, which they have every chance of doing, I have no doubt that Italy at the World Cup could surprise a lot of people and could win again. They're really good. Or they could struggle, or they have done the last few tournaments, because again, they're going through a very transitional period with a lot of good players have retired in the last 10 years, and there's a lot more youngsters trying to compete for those spaces in the national side. But they still play better than us, and they still do better us than tournaments. So that says something. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please leave comments below. And I will have another video for you later today. Thank you very much for watching.